I am Gail Rhodes, and I am your presider and practitioner this morning. And I just want to welcome all of you to this morning's services. It would just not be the same without you. So thank you, all of our beloved community, for coming. Whether you are in church or on Zoom, it's your presence is felt, and we're really happy to have you here. So we're going to start right off with an opening treatment. Settle in to your chair. Feel the presence of God right here, right now, right where we are. So as we spend these next few minutes courting that presence, welcoming that presence, which is always there, always available in all things, we take these few minutes to really feel what that feels like, what that presence is like in our lives. We welcome it. We are overjoyed to know that all things are God, and that the beloved energy of that spiritual connection moves us forward in ways that we know and ways that we are not even aware of. And for that, we are so grateful for all of the miracles that we know that happen every single day, and for all of the unknown miracles, all of the blessings, the love, the peace, the joy, the prosperity, the community that we're sharing here this morning. As we gather that around us like a warm blanket, we take it with us through the rest of this day, through the rest of the week, the month, the year, and for all of our time here. There is something about this service that will touch everyone in some way, whether you feel it or whether it's just there. The more we open to it, the more we will experience. So right now, we all open our hearts, we open our consciousness, we open our ears as we are about to hear inspirational words, beautiful music. And for that, we are grateful. And we release this into the one, knowing that it is already so, as we claim it together by saying, and so it is. And now we get the beautiful music part. Our soloist this morning is Madge Strong, someone that we have known and loved, I'm going to say, for decades. If it's at least decades, right, Madge?
It is.
And we're so grateful that you are, I haven't thought about it in this way, but now that I am, that you are a constant in our lives. And we are really grateful to have you. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for being here. That's not just you, Gail, but all of you. Yeah, because you are a constant in my life, although I don't come every week. So it being winter and getting a lot of rain and up in the hills some snow and all of that stormy weather, I'm going to sing Judy Fjell's song In the Winter. On Tuesday evening, when my chorus has our 23rd annual solstice sing, Judy Fjell herself will be singing this. So I'm just doing, I'm channeling Judy Fjell. In the winter, when the snow falls and the rain falls, when the wind blows wild in the winter, when the darkness falls and the wild goose calls from a land far away, I can hear her calling to can hear her calling. You can be free. In the winter, when the sun's low and the ground's froze, way down deep, there's a message in the darkness. Life is a promise that the earth will keep. I can hear her calling to me. I can hear her calling. You can be free.
Mm.
In the winter, when the snow falls and the rain falls, when the wild goose calls, there's a message in the darkness. Life is a promise that the earth will keep. I can hear her calling to me. I can hear her calling. You can be free. You can be free. You can be free. You can be free.
Mm. That was beautiful. Thank you, Madge.
Thank you.
We will talk about the winter solstice on Tuesday at the end of service, but I'm really looking forward to that. So now it is time for our speaker, and we are so excited. We have Reverend Lynn Fritz. I can do this. Reverend Lynn Fritz, who we have had. She's another constant in our life. Today is a morning of renewed constants. So thank you, Reverend Lynn. Let me introduce her, even though we all know her. I still want to tell you a little bit about her. She is an ordained minister of the Centers for Spiritual Living of the Centers for Spiritual Living. She is out of Redding, California. She's also a licensed marriage family therapist in private practice, a Karuk tribal descendant, a Native American spiritual practitioner. She's the chair of Shasta Interfaith, and Association of 23 Diverse Faith Communities. Ooh, that sounds exciting. Lynn has also produced and hosted a weekly radio program for over 12 years. So thank you, Reverend Lynn, for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always good to see my family in Ukiah. Hello. And remember at the beginning, I don't know if you tuned in or not, but I wanted to encourage you to get a piece of paper and pen or pencil just for some notes for yourself. Because as always, the goal is to help us enter into sacred process. Because we are on this journey of this lifetime. It's an interesting era to be in this lifetime. We are in the solstice season, diminishing light, greater darkness. For many traditions, it's a time of withdrawal. Some of our four-legged friends go into hibernation. So it's a time of reflection, contemplation. It's a time of honoring various traditions in our culture. the Christ one. We recently, many celebrated Hanukkah, which was earlier this year. But solstice has a long history in our culture and many different expressions in the physical world of honoring that. For me personally, I thrive in light, not so much in darkness. So just noticing that our own individual response to diminishing light. How am I, as sacred human in my journey, responding to this time? The focus of our contemplation this morning is fully alive. So I'm going to invite us to take a moment. In fact, I'm going to invite us to spend a little bit more time in the inward processing. So if you're comfortable, I would invite you to close your eyes. And together we will take a long, slow, deep breath in. And mindfully, slowly allowing yourself to exhale and enter into that space of stillness. We're going to consider together today a contemplation, a visualization process. So I'm going to invite you to think about a place in nature. You're there alone. Nothing can harm you. Find the space that speaks to you. Noticing the time of day, what the environment looks like. Look around. Notice the different attributes. Notice any sounds that you may hear, any fragrances. What season of the year? All those elements, time of day, and where the body is, your body, our bodies are in relationship, that environment. And am I seated? Am I walking? Maybe even laying down. But the purpose of this is to allow us to really tune in to our inner world, our inner experience. And as you find yourself in this space, I'm going to ask us to contemplate together some questions. First and foremost, where am I on my spiritual journey? Am I fully healed? Or are there places in my life where I carry pain? Or have the experience of feeling limited? Or perhaps have a condition I wish to change? Also asking ourselves, do I feel whole? Maybe even ask, what percentage do I feel fully healed? 100%? 90%? Do I ever have the experience of maybe feeling 20% when I face certain circumstances? When I consider the unknown? Do I have complete freedom? Have I fully developed self-mastery, where I experience healthy financial support, healthy and meaningful relationships with myself and other people? Do I feel connected and attuned to spirit in all circumstances? Do I thrive with my creative expression in the world? So notice what comes up. For the most part, I live my life in what percentage of wholeness? And then secondly, if there are times when I don't experience that wholeness. So here's the challenge now before us. To become 100% full, whole, healed, where we live in that state of wholeness, we have to leave this beautiful place in nature and travel further down the spiritual path into the unknown. So as you feel yourself in that space of beauty and nature that you've selected for yourself, I want you to notice what stirs up when you think about leaving this place. It's comfortable. We do okay here. It's beautiful. Why would we want to leave it? I want you to notice what thoughts and emotions come up. So take just a moment and jot those down if there's anything that comes up for you. The emotions and thoughts. We carry these emotions and thoughts with us wherever we go. So that's why it's very important for us to be able to consciously recognize what they are. And I would suggest to you that this information is our growing edge, our place where we can discover greater healing. And these emotions and thoughts sometimes are negative, sometimes they're positive. They'll either support us on the journey or they'll make it more challenging for us. So I want you, when you're done with your thoughts and emotions that you discovered, to close your eyes once again and take yourself back to that same beautiful place. And I want you to think about your thoughts when leaving, your experience if you were to leave that space and go further out. Notice what visual images come up for you. What will the journey be like when you begin to embark further down the trail of the spiritual journey? What is it you see in the physical realm? Is it a smooth, wide path, narrow? Are you scaling a cliff? Notice what comes up, because it's important information. Is that oftentimes what keeps us in that same beautiful location that we're comfortable with versus embarking further down the path. Notice what you feel when you look from that safe, beautiful place and have to think about leaving it. Is anyone wanting to share 1 or 2 words about what your experience, what you noticed, especially the emotions, but we will take thoughts as well. Just unmute yourself and Harvey, can you unmute them all? If you can unmute yourself and give 1 or 2 words, I'd appreciate it. Victoria.
People will have to unmute themselves.
Okay, Victoria.
Deep peace.
Okay, good. Gail.
Mine was gratitude. And so the feeling was gratitude, and the thoughts were that I can and do take this with me when I go. I sometimes don't realize it, but I take that with me. Even if it's not really apparent, I do take that with me. And then my what came up for me when I was leaving was a challenge, that as I'm leaving that beautiful sacred space, where I'm going is challenging.
It's important for us to notice, thank you, Gail, what percentage we feel whole, and the times noticing when we vacillate in that experience. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share.
Candace, please.
As the first part, I had a pretty good sense of contentment, but when you were asking like percentage, what really came up for me was 50-50. And when I'm in that space, where it's beautiful and everything, I'm very content. But I'm kind of wanting to move on. And then when you got to the next part and you're looking, and you're going to leave the place, what comes up? And what came up for me was it wasn't just a fork in the road. It was like all these choices of where I could go. And I felt a little frozen. It was like, what if I choose wrong? So it definitely gave me some things that I'll be working on for the next little bit. But yeah, that's what came up for me was I really get it. I'm at a place where I get to have new choices and do new things, and I still don't have the slightest idea what that might look like. So that's it.
Ani, you were going to share something?
Yeah, I was my original place was like a little small lake, and I was floating in a boat. And then when you said to move on, my first thought was, oh no, I think there are waterfalls ahead.
Interesting.
I've been doing a lot of contemplation. I'm, for the first time in my life, for a very long time, living by myself and having a lot of time on my hands. And so I've spent a lot of time in the books that I've accumulated, and just doing some really deep spiritual work. And so you doing this today just really brought it all up. So
Good.
thank you.
Thank you for your commitment to your journey. That's good.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Don't feel like you have to share. Jack?
I could go.
Sure. Go ahead, Harvey.
Okay. And you can go after me. I felt what Victoria and Gail felt, the peace. I was in this lovely rock on Low Gap Park with the water flowing, and it was actually winter, not spring. But as I came to the place of leaving, I started to visualize where I'm going and seeing the places, the things that I have are upcoming in my life, maybe the Christmas Day, New Year's, what's ahead for in January, and some plans, and trying to keep focused on the positive plans and visions of where I want to see, and that keeps me more centered.
Thank you, Harvey. Jack?
Well, my words that came up were multiple words. It was like a feeling. I just wrote down a bunch of words trying to capture the actual aspect of it. It was adventure, expressive, expanded, fulfillment, empowerment, connection, and aliveness. And really, I started out, I was on a beach, actually a Caribbean beach with palm trees, and actually, just stunning aqua blue water with lapping soft waves. It's a very safe, it's an interesting place because I also often picked another place that's safe when I do meditation. So this one just popped in. I was like, oh, cool, I like it. But when I went out, the expressive part of what, when you went through the list of things, for me, it was, it's just this deep, simplicity around me. Like, the worldly stuff we all have, our household, or all the things we do, that was kind of like, that's what's kind of been holding me back in many ways. I feel like, all the to-dos and the da-da-das and the lists, the yada-yadas. And I stepped out of that and have been done. There's a back of that for me. There's always been a desire to just express. It's not like that goes away. It's there, it's life. But to step beyond that and into an adventure of more, an adventure, adventuring into my new ways.
Mute. They got a dog.
Yeah. So adventuring in new ways with myself, that I haven't allowed myself. I'm taking care of other things other than myself, and there is this deeper need in myself to express in new ways that I've had that for some time, and I need to step into it. I'm sorry, I'm so wordy.
No, that's okay. That's good.
I can see Candace just going, okay, here he goes. Oh my God.
Would you just say it?
I'm innocent.
Anyway, that's what's going on in my mind. I'm not saying it's going on in your mind, Candace, but anyway, I want your expression to crack me up.
I think Terry's ready to share.
Yep, I am. And my place that I go is an incredibly sacred spot for me. It's in Canyonlands National Park. It's an area known as the Fins. It's these gigantic, incredible red rock. And I'm sitting out there. When I was there, it's a very difficult place to get to. But when I was there last, it was the day before Thanksgiving. And so that was the time in my mind right now. I was sitting on this beautiful escarpment of red rock. And I felt just the deepest sense of peace and gratitude. I have obviously some kind of, have incarnated at some point or whatever it is from Native American, because I know that the way that they treat nature and is just such a deep truth for me. That is how I view things as well. So I was in that space, and then when I realized I was going out, I was a little bit afraid of maybe not finding water, because it's pretty scarce there. And it's just that it was such an amazing place to be, that the idea of what was out there brought up some kind of fear, but it was also excitement, because every time I take a turn and go somewhere where I didn't think I needed to go, there usually is something there that is waiting, that is a marvel and a revelation. So a mix of those two things. It was interesting when you asked about like the percentage of wholeness. Immediately the number 72% jumped into my head. I didn't even have to think about it. And it was like, oh, that's kind of more maybe than I might have thought a year ago. So I feel like I'm moving in a good direction. And oddly enough, I was just reading this book this morning, How to Use Science of Mind. And I literally was just reading about this right before we started this about the two sides of the subjective, and the struggle between those, and realizing with this exercise that I actually feel like I'm moving towards, the feeling more whole, getting closer there. So, yeah.
That is the goal, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
The purpose of the spiritual path.
Yes, absolutely. So that was my experience.
Thank you, Terry. Madge, you want to add anything? Or are you okay?
I am okay. I'm overwhelmed.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
I never want you to feel, any of you to feel like you have to share. So what I want us to notice together as a community is that the Centers for Spiritual Living, the teaching, the science of mind, is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. You can go ahead.
Unmute yourself, Lynn. I muted everybody.
So you missed that first comment I made, eh? What's important for us to notice is that Centers for Spiritual Living, religious science, science of mind, the whole purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. I would call that wholeness. And it's when we can embody and live in that place of 100% wholeness, self-mastery, connection to the sacred, no matter what circumstance we find ourselves in, no matter whether we're in the desert with nothing but sand. That is our challenge, isn't it? And the majority of society lives in this place of not even considering that. So you notice from our sharing here, Candace talked about multiple paths. Well, that can be a gift and it can be a challenge, because what if we take the wrong path? Personally, I don't know that we could take a wrong path. I think all paths have a season. It may mean that we have to leave that path and take another path of the ones that are presented. What matters is what we're doing with what we encounter, which is, I think, also what Science of Mind was pointing to. How do I respond to the things I encounter? Is it with compassion, grace, and ease, or is it with fear? I want to read a poem to you that I want you to think about. Notice what comes up for you when you hear the words. I encourage you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes and try to embrace each word. It's Fully Alive by Donna Markova. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. This is the path of creating wholeness, where we move from just being not sick and maintaining day to day, but thriving. We're designed to thrive. We're called to thrive. We're called to be that emanating light in the darkness. And so we think about, where do I, in my personal work, as we've just been doing this morning, where am I? How do I move into self-mastery, so much so that I'm living in that 100% space, no matter what I face as sacred human? And we all know at some point in our journey, we're leaving that space. and moving from the physical to the non-physical, which oftentimes inspires a great deal of fear for people. So we have this opportune time at this moment to work on embracing that, work with it so that we integrate it. Is what we're doing is we're integrating, moving from a place of fear into one of love. When we face our fears, we are transformed. We expand. You notice in the poem, I want you to notice what stood out to you, what phrase stood out to you the most. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. Oh my God, if we leave the safe place, will I fall? Will I stumble? Will I fall off the cliff? What if I catch fire? Or something just as bad as a disease or loss of someone beloved or having to be in the unknown. Inhabiting our days means that we let go of just the day-to-day things that keep us distracted from leaving the comfort zone, entering and moving on the spiritual path further down the road so that we can live without limitation. Whatever we do, the ripple effect changes our world. So our being fully alive, as Marianne Williamson would say, gives other people permission to do the same. So as we enter into the close of this year, I would like the Ukiah family. How do I step from that comfort zone where I've been and meet someone in the community, larger community, or maybe the community of my family, where there is anger, or you see fear, or you see discord, and spend some time just listening without judgment, just giving them a space to be heard. It invites them to consider leaving their comfort zone and entering into a new place on their personal journey. Fully alive. Am I fully alive? Am I living a fully alive life? Will I continue on down the path despite the things that scare me? Trust me, we all have those things. I could talk with you for hours. So in consideration of time, I'm going to invite us into prayer. So if you're comfortable, closing your eyes, as we come together in this community before and in the presence of Spirit, Creator, that infinite intelligence, the author of all that is, we pause in this moment in reverence, in recognition that we are one with that immense love, the one who created the beauty, that gave humanity the opportunity to be in relationship and co-create with the sacred. What I know to be true is that as a spiritual being in a physical experience, at times I am challenged. My commitment, my resolve is to embrace those challenges and to face my fears, that I may heal and grow and continue to develop that self-mastery, knowing that the constant companion is that universal wisdom and love that designed all that is. I carry that contagious energy of love. where there are places of judgment, anger, rage, violence. I carry that emanating light of love and spirit within my physical being and within my consciousness. As it illumines my life, I know that ripple effect translates and transmutes into the world in a way that produces healing for myself and all other beings. And so I give thanks. I give thanks for this understanding, the opportunity for my own healing and to be part of the healing of our world. As I move through this day and this lifetime, I carry that compassion and love to the world. I am light, and I thank the Great Spirit for all the many gifts that have brought me to this particular place and time. And I courageously step forward, moving further along, that I may be fully alive. Releasing this into the cosmos, across our beautiful nation and the one ocean around our globe, into the many layers of what is. We speak it into being. It is now so, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lynn. That was absolutely beautiful, very powerful, and exactly what I needed for today. How'd you know? Thank you. So now it is time for our offering. Harvey, if you could put that up for us, we'll all say that together. Whoops. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies this gift. With all my heart and with all my mind, I know that I am saying yes to something I value. With all others present here, we dedicate these gifts to the values and visions we share. And so it is. And thank you. I forgot to thank you before we did the offering for all of you who are contributing to the center, our center. Without you, we would not be able to continue. So thank you very much for all of your generous contributions. And now it is time for Madge to play for us again.
All right, thank you. So as we go forth fully alive in this season of peace, I thought, and also as we revisit constants in our life, as Gail pointed out. So I want to sing Let There Be Peace on Earth and have you join me as much as you can. And then at the end of that, I'm going to do a chant that just brings it down to just a few words, like so reinforce that we're letting peace, that we are sending peace to the earth.